Anita was a beautiful young woman. At just 28, she had two lovely children and a supportive husband, Henry, who loved her with all his heart. Their marriage had not been perfect, but it was filled with laughter, support, and genuine love. Henry worked as a banker in the city, and though his job was demanding, he made time for his family. Anita stayed home with the children, caring for them and keeping the house in order. Then came her call-up later for the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC. She had waited years for the opportunity to serve her country. And finally, it came. Henry wasn't excited about it. "Can't you delay it?" he asked her one night. Anita shook her head. "I have waited too long. And remember, I'm not getting younger. Please, my love, this is my chance to grow. Let me do this. I promise I'll be back in a year. But the children need you. I need you," he pleaded. "I know, honey, but I need this too," she replied softly. After days of discussions, Henry finally agreed. He hugged her tightly the morning she left and whispered, "Stay safe and don't forget us." Their children, little Jerry and Jessica, gripped her legs, crying. She knelt down, wiping their tears. "Mommy will be back soon. Be good to Daddy, okay?" As the bus pulled away, Anita waved, not knowing that her life was about to change in ways she could never imagine. Anita's NYSC posting took her to a busy city in another state, far from home. At first, she struggled with the change, sharing a room with strangers, doing daily training, and adjusting to a new routine. But gradually, she settled in. She was posted to a government office for her primary assignment. It wasn't stressful, and she quickly made friends with other corps members. Among them was a young, vibrant man named Isaac. He was just 23, playful, charming, and always full of jokes. He admired Anita from the moment he met her. "You don't look like someone with two children," he said one afternoon, flashing his white teeth. "You are too fine." Anita laughed it off at first. "Behave yourself, small boy." But Isaac didn't stop. He brought her lunch sometimes, helped her carry her bag, and always had something sweet to say. At first, Anita told herself it was harmless. Henry trusted her, and she had no plans to betray that trust. But loneliness is a quiet thief. The night grew long, and she missed her children's hug and her husband's warm embrace. Phone calls became shorter. Henry was busy. The children were sometimes asleep, and she began to feel forgotten. Isaac noticed her sadness. One evening, after a group hangout, he walked her home and said, "You don't have to feel alone. I'm here." That night, one careless moment led to a mistake that would forever haunt her. Weeks passed, and Anita couldn't shake the guilt that settled deep inside her chest. She avoided Isaac, ashamed of what had happened, but the damage had already been done. One morning, she woke up feeling unusually tired. Her heart pounded as the thoughts crossed her mind. Could I be pregnant? She bought a test kit and waited alone in the bathroom, her hands trembling. When the two red lines appeared, her world came crashing. No, this can't be happening," she whispered. She didn't tell anyone at first, not even Isaac. She considered going to a private clinic to see if she could end it, but fear held her back. Her conscience screamed at her, and she remembered her faith, her children, and the vows she made to Henry. As her belly grew, she became more withdrawn. She stopped attending CDS meetings and avoided group activities. Her roommates noticed the change. "Anita, are you okay?" one of them asked. "You have been acting strange." "I'm just tired," she lied. When Isaac finally noticed the changes, he confronted her. "Anita, what's going on? Are you pregnant?" She looked away, unable to speak. "Is it mine?" he asked again. She nodded slowly. Isaac moved back. looking scared. Anita, this is serious. I didn't plan for this. You know I can't handle this. My parents will kill me. I didn't plan for it either, she replied. From that day, everything changed. Isaac became distant, avoiding her at all costs. She was on her own now. And in a few months, her NYSC year would be over. She would have to go back home. The day Anita returned home was supposed to be joyful, a reunion with her family after 1 year of service. But instead, she stood at the gate, her heart pounding, her belly visibly heavy with pregnancy. Henry opened the door and stood frozen. For a moment, there was silence. Then his eyes dropped to her stomach. "What is that?" he asked, his voice shaking. Anita couldn't speak. Her lips trembled. "Answer me, Anita. What is that?" he shouted. Tears streamed down her face. "I'm sorry." That was all Henry needed to hear. His face darkened, and anger filled his eyes. "You slept with another man? You went and got pregnant? After everything I did for you?" "I didn't mean for it to happen," she cried. "Please, just hear me out." "Get out of my house," he said coldly. The children stood behind him, watching. Jessica held onto her father's trouser, confused and frightened. Henry looked at his mother with tears in his eyes. "Mommy, why did you do this?" That question broke her heart more than anything else. As she turned away with her small bag in one hand and shame on her shoulders, she realized she had no place to go. The man who got her pregnant was too young, and his parents would never accept her. Her own family, she was too ashamed to even try. That night, she sat outside a clothes shop, her back against the wall, rubbing her stomach and crying silently. She had lost everything, with nowhere else to go. Anita swallowed her pride and called her old school friend, Linda. "Linda, please, I need your help," she said on the phone, her voice weak. When Linda opened the door and saw Anita with pregnancy, she was shocked but let her in. "You can stay here for a while," she said, "but don't expect it to be comfortable." Anita nodded. At first, Linda acted kind. She gave Anita a blanket and allowed her to sleep in the small guest room. But within days, her attitude changed. She started complaining over every little thing. "This is not a hotel," Linda said one morning. "You better start doing something to contribute." Anita washed clothes, cleaned the house, and even cooked without complaining. But still, Linda treated her like a maid. She would bring her friends over and talk loudly about foolish women who can't control themselves. Anita heard every word but said nothing. She was tired, hungry, and emotionally drained. The baby in her womb was her only companion, though even that was a reminder of her shame. One evening, Anita collapsed in the kitchen. Linda rushed her to the hospital. After the scan, the doctor looked sad. "We are sorry, the baby has no heartbeat." Anita lay there, speechless. Tears rolled down her cheeks. The weight of her mistakes crushed her completely. She had lost everything: her home, her husband, her children, and now her unborn child. The hospital room was cold, both in temperature and in spirit. Anita looked at the ceiling, speechless and broken. The news of her baby's death felt like the final blow from life. She didn't cry anymore. All she felt was emptiness. Linda came to the hospital the next day, but didn't stay long. "I'm sorry," she said. "You can come back to the house when you are discharged, but you will have to find somewhere else soon. I can't keep doing this." Anita nodded without saying a word. She had nothing left to say. When she returned to Linda's apartment, The atmosphere was even worse than before. Linda barely spoke to her and always left her alone for hours. Each day felt longer than the last. Anita would sit by the window, watching people walk by, laughing, living their lives, free of shame and pain. Sometimes she imagined walking into traffic or drinking something poisonous. But when her children's faces crossed her mind, she paused. Jessica, Jerry, their little voices, their laughter, they were her lifeline. It was that little hope that pushed her to stay alive. She began to pray again, asking God for just one more chance to be whole. She knew she couldn't stay with Linda much longer. One afternoon, as she was folding some laundry, Linda walked in and said, "You should consider going to your people. At least they are your family." Anita lowered her head. "They are disappointed in me. I don't even know if they will take me in." "Still better than here," Linda replied coldly. Anita looked out the window again. Maybe it was time. Maybe home was the only place left to go. With nothing but a small bag of clothes and her broken spirit, Anita took a bus back to her hometown. The journey felt longer than ever before. Every bump on the road reminded her of her pain. Every passing village, a mirror of her shame. When she finally arrived at her parents' compound, she stood at the gates for a long time, unsure whether to knock or turn back. The door opened suddenly. Her younger brother spotted her. "Mama, Papa, Anita is here," he shouted. Her parents came out, her mother looking surprised when she saw her. Her father folded his arms, his eyes cold. Anita knelt down, with tears rushing from her eyes. "Daddy, Mommy, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I made a terrible mistake. Please forgive me." There was silence. Her mother stepped forward, gently pulling her up. "Come inside," she said sadly. Her father barely said a word for days. Her mother took care of her quietly, giving her food and medication. But Anita could feel the disappointment in their eyes. One evening, her father finally spoke. "You brought shame to this family," he said without raising his voice. "But you are still our daughter." Anita broke down in tears. It wasn't full acceptance, but it was enough. Weeks passed, and she slowly began to regain her strength. She helped her mother in the kitchen, worked on the farm, and started attending church again. But deep in her heart, she missed her children every single day. One night, her mother said, "You should go and see your in-laws. Maybe, just maybe, they can help you speak to Henry." Anita stood speechless for some seconds. "Will they even look at me?" "Let's give it a try first," her mother replied. Anita dressed that morning, her heart raised as she approached Henry's family house. The gates looked the same, but everything else felt different. She was no longer the proud wife who once came with gifts and laughter. She was now a woman seeking mercy. Her mother-in-law opened the door, and her eyes opened in surprise. Anita fell on her knees immediately. "Mama, please, I have no excuse. I wronged your son. I wronged this family. I am not here to defend myself. I'm just asking for a chance to make things right." The old woman stood still for a moment, then slowly helped Anita to her feet. "You have suffered. I can see it," she said gently. "Come inside." When she got inside, her father-in-law listened in silence as Anita poured out everything, her regrets, her shame, and the pain she had gone through. There were no lies, no attempt to justify herself. When she finished, her father-in-law nodded. "What you did hurt us deeply, but I also know people make terrible mistakes. when they are far from love and guidance. Henry's mother looked at her sadly. "I will speak to my son," she said. Days later, they invited Henry to the house without telling him Anita was there. When he walked in and saw her seated quietly in the living room, he froze. "What is this?" he asked. His mother stood beside him. She came back, not with excuses, but with a broken heart. "She's not asking you to forget, but to forgive." Henry looked at Anita, his face tight. "And why should I forgive you?" Anita looked him in the eye for the first time. "Because I have punished myself more than you ever could. But if I could go back and change things, I would. I'm not asking to be your wife again. I just want to be their mother again." His eyes softened, just a little. He turned and walked out. Henry didn't speak to anyone for 3 days, but his mother kept praying silently, asking God to touch his heart. On the 4th evening, he sat alone on the veranda, watching the sunset. He remembered the early years with Anita, her laughter, how she danced in the kitchen, how she read bedtime stories to their kids. He remembered how her eyes sparkled when she first held Jessica in her arms. His mother sat beside him. "My son, I know she hurt you, but anger is heavy. It eats you slowly." Henry was quiet for a moment, then said, "How do I look at her and not remember what she did?" "Because we all want mercy when we fall," she replied. She did not just return. She returned with nothing except remorse. Later that night, he walked into the guest room where Anita had been staying. She sat on the bed, reading a small Bible. Henry stood at the door. "I'm not ready to forget," he said. Anita stood quickly. He continued, "But I'm willing to try for the sake of our children." Anita covered her mouth, tears flowing from her eyes. "Thank you. Thank you so much. I will speak to the kids. You will come home, slowly, step by step. But know this, it won't be easy." "I don't expect it to be easy," she said. "I just need the chance." The next week, Henry brought the children to visit. Jessica ran to her and hugged her tightly. Jerry stood back without saying anything. "Sweetheart," Anita said, kneeling down. "Mommy is so sorry. I miss you so much." He looked at her for a moment, then walked into her arms. She held them both, crying into their hair. Anita returned home slowly. At first, she stayed only during the day, helping the children with homework, cooking dinner, and cleaning the house. Henry kept his distance. Over time, the children warmed up to her again. Jessica never left her side, always talking and laughing like before. Jerry was more reserved. But one evening, he hugged her without being asked. Anita held onto him tightly, whispering, "Thank you, my son." One rainy evening, as they sat in the living room while the kids slept, Anita said quietly, "I know I don't deserve this second chance. I wake up every day and remember what I did. I will never forget it." Henry nodded slowly. Some wounds take a long time to heal. Anita wiped her tears. "I want to spend the rest of my life making it right." He didn't answer immediately, but he held her hand gently without saying a word. It was the first sign of affection in over a year. Months later, everything seems to be coming back to the way it used to be. Anita worked hard to rebuild her family. She joined a women's prayer group and even started mentoring young women, warning them not to make the same mistake she did. Even as laughter returned to her home, the guilt remained, not as a chain, but as a reminder of her weakness, her fall, and the grace that allowed her to rise again. She knew she had been given a priceless gift, forgiveness, and she vowed never to waste it.